Hello everyone, welcome to Health and Money. Today we'll be focusing on a crucial topic that demands our attention, that is overcoming stigma and discrimination associated with HIV in Vietnam. We'll be discussing about the pressing need to break down barriers, challenge misconceptions, and foster a more inclusive and supportive society for individuals living with HIV. Now, Vietnam has made significant progress in the fight against HIV, but stigma and discrimination persist as major hurdles in the journey towards comprehensive care and support. It is essential to recognize that HIV is not only solely a medical issue, it is also a social issue that demands our collective empathy, understanding, and compassion. Today, we have the privilege of welcoming esteemed guests who have dedicated their lives to combating stigma and discrimination associated with HIV in the world and Vietnam. They will share their invaluable insights, experiences, and strategies for fostering a more compassionate and inclusive society.
Carl Smith là một nhân vật có ảnh hưởng với công chúng Mỹ và là một người vận động năng nổ cho việc tăng cường nhận thức và giảm những định kiến xã hội về HIV. Với sự hiện diện đầy tự tin và cách tiếp cận không sợ hãi, Carl đã đóng vai trò quan trọng trong việc phá vỡ rào cản và thách thức những quan niệm sai lầm xung quanh HIV. Là một nhân vật truyền hình nổi tiếng và là một phóng viên, Carl đã tận dụng nền tảng của mình để chia sẻ về hành trình sống với HIV của chính bản thân, truyền cảm hứng và sức mạnh tinh thần cho người khác để nhìn nhận sự thật và đấu tranh chống lại sự kỳ thị xã hội liên quan đến HIV. Thông qua công việc đấu tranh không mệt mỏi, Carl đã trở thành một tiếng nói cho cộng đồng những người sống với HIV, thúc đẩy giáo dục, sự chấp nhận và lòng nhân ái dành cho họ. Sự tận tâm và cam kết không nao núng của anh đối với việc nâng cao nhận thức về HIV đã tạo ra sự ảnh hưởng sâu sắc đối với nhiều người trên toàn thế giới nhằm xây dựng một xã hội tôn trọng và đồng cảm với tất cả mọi người.
And I'm Truyền, your host today. Now, we have an incredibly guest here today who is not only an ABC correspondent in the United States, but also a brave and powerful advocate for change. He is someone who shattered all of the stereotypes and broke barriers by sharing his truth with the world. Now, join me in welcoming Carl Smith.
Thank you. Thank you for that very nice introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And I also like to introduce my co-host today, Dr. THޮNG. He is also an expert in the field of HIV treatment and prevention, and also an advocate for rights and well-being of people living with HIV. Thank you all for being here with us today.
It is a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be in your company too.
Me too. So I'm glad that we finally met.
I know.
I heard a lot about you. I spread, like the information about you to like THØNG, and like she said, okay, let's do it. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's do it. It's
Yeah.
important. It's an important topic to talk about. And so thank you very much for giving us this time and this space to talk about it.
Our pleasure. Now, Carl, your story has touched like the hearts of millions around the globe. But today, I want you to retell your story to our viewers here in Vietnam. Now, you are considered a public figure. And I'm curious that with your career status, what led you make a decision of publicly reveal your HIV positive status?
Well, it wasn't really a conscious decision. I didn't sit at home thinking, today's the day I'm going to tell the world. I had been living with HIV for 10 years to the point when I decided to speak publicly. It's now 15 years, so 5 years ago, I shared my secret. And if I'm being very, very honest with you, I really didn't think anyone would notice or care. As you mentioned in your nice introduction, I work in television in the United States, in the news area. So I wouldn't call myself a celebrity or anything like that. Sometimes people might recognize me, but really, I'm just like a news correspondent. So I didn't think anyone would care. But there is a very interesting Instagram account called the AIDS Memorial. And it's a wonderful account. And their hashtag is What is Remembered Lives. And it's an account dedicated to remembering people that we lost to HIV and AIDS over the years.
Many
People, as you know. And so it's a wonderful account, and people post pictures of their friends or their loved ones, and they write stories. And they sell T-shirts. They sell merchandise. So I bought a T-shirt, and it had been sitting in my closet for about 6 months, and I didn't really ever pull it out to wear it. One day I was running to meet some friends, and I got home from work. I was changing quickly. I said, I'll put that T-shirt on. And a friend of mine took a picture of me in this AIDS Memorial T-shirt. And I got home after dinner with my friends, and, you know, I didn't have a story of an uncle or a brother or a family friend who'd passed away from HIV and AIDS. I didn't. I'm very, very lucky that I didn't lose somebody. The only story I could tell really was my own. So I posted this picture on my Instagram and my Facebook page of me wearing this AIDS Memorial T-shirt, and I just said very honestly, look, this is who I am. I'm living with HIV. I've been living with HIV for 10 years. I'm just like you. I want to be loved. I want to have a successful career. And so here I am.
Would like an open account of yours?
Yeah. Just my Instagram. I mean, I think if you go on and find my Instagram account, you can still see it. And I didn't, and then I went to bed.
Jesus.
Didn't think anything of it.
Sure.
And the next morning, suddenly, my virus went viral, as the saying goes. And it was picked up by the Hollywood Reporter and Variety magazine, the Daily Mail. And suddenly, my world changed. There was no putting the cat back in the bag, as we say. And so I kind of went from overnight having this secret, professional secret, to everyone knew. And I'm so lucky, you know, that I was embraced. I didn't lose my job. In fact, my colleagues congratulated me and told me that they loved me.
So how your supervisor?
My boss,
Your boss?
my very senior boss. Interestingly enough, she said to me, and she's been in the news business in America for a very long time. She runs the channel in Los Angeles. And she said, you know, it's so strange to me. This should not be a news story in this day and age. You having HIV shouldn't be a news story. And I said, you're right, it shouldn't.
But it was.
But it is, and it was. And so that was 5 years ago. I'm still here.
Right.
I still work on television. Since then, I've had a very successful personal relationship, something I hadn't had in all the years that I was in the closet, about my status. And I think most importantly, for myself and my self-worth and how I look at myself now and how I treat myself now is totally different, because we talk about stigma, and there's a lot of it all around the world, Vietnam, America, Australia, it doesn't matter. But even more dangerous, and I think you'll back me up on this, is the internalized stigma. Because for 10 years, before I spoke publicly, I'd make jokes. You know, I'd say, oh, you don't want to date me, I'm damaged goods. And I thought I was being funny. You know, I said it very casually. What I didn't realize that every time I said, I'm damaged goods, or don't want me, or I've got HIV, something in the back of my head was storing that. And I started to believe it subconsciously. Since coming out publicly, forget the success and everything else, and now I have a media company that's dedicated to ending HIV stigma. More importantly, my mental health is improved.
But how people took it then when you told them that you're not good enough?
Well, they'd sort of, I would say it, you know, with a wink and a nod. You know, I would say it in a joking kind of way. You know, we might be having drinks somewhere, and you might say, oh, look at that attractive man over there. You should go and talk to him. And I would say, please, what's the point? You know, he's not going to be interested in me. And the reason I would say things like that was because more than one occasion when I had tried to have a relationship or date somebody, I was rejected purely because I was HIV positive.
Something that you would not think that happened in the USA or Europe, but it happened a lot.
It's the most
even like
difficult
other
thing.
celebrities, they came out, you know, like living HIV. I can't name them now, but like there's a lot of tabloid, you know, like exploding the story to the point that they went crazy, you know. You either have like a lot of support, but and then you have a lot of support to deal with the unknown unknown like things. Like for Khảo, many of my clients, you know, my people who I care for, face, you know, like issue that they don't know.
But you did have intention to come forward with the status, but your colleagues and your friends told you no, don't.
My well-meaning and very good friends said, look, you don't want to become known as the guy with AIDS on television. Now, there's a few things wrong with that statement. First of all, I don't have AIDS. I'm living with HIV. I'm HIV positive. That does not mean I have AIDS. And certainly in the United States of America, and a lot of countries, you don't really die of AIDS anymore if you're healthy and get on treatment. So a lot of people meant very well. You know, and I listened to it. But what is great is that it sort of, for me, happened organically. Like I said, I sent, you know, off it went, and the next morning my world changed. And it really has changed for better. And also, I didn't know anything about, you know, K equals K, or as we call it in the United States, U equals U. I'd never heard of that. I had been living for 10 years. I was diagnosed when I was 27 years old. 27 to 37. No one ever said anything about K equals K. And had they, even though there was, you know, it took a while for the CDC and the World Health Organization to sign on to it, but had a doctor even said to me when I was 27, look, there's all these studies going on that are showing and are leading us to believe that if you are healthy and undetectable, you cannot transmit the virus. It's still a work in progress, but everything's, even if someone had told me that, the self-worth, the difference it would have made to me and how I looked at myself would have been game changer. So K equals K, which, congratulations in this country, you have done a fantastic work in Vietnam, the wonderful work that your organizations have done in this country with getting that message out is phenomenal, and something we in America and everywhere else can learn from.
It's liberating.
It's not just, it changes, it changes everything.
Sure. And we'll talk about the key K equals K a little bit more later. And I know that you have connected with countless of individuals who share with you their own stories, including celebrities and influential people as well. So is there any remarkable story that you can share with us here?
Well, you know, I think in the sense of celebrity, when I spoke publicly those years ago, there wasn't, to my knowledge anyway, anybody else on national network television in news who had spoken openly about their HIV status. I can't be the only one on television who works in news who's HIV positive, right? Since then, in the 7 years that it's been, you know, since I disclosed, or 5 years rather, or however long, my math is not good.
Don't worry.
I'm just not clever with the math. That's why you know. But you have other big name celebrities. Now, I don't know if people in Vietnam know who Billy Porter is, but he's a big star in America and a phenomenal talent. He's come out about his HIV status, and he spoke to me before he did it. Jonathan Van Ness, who's another quite famous person in America on a show called Queer Eye, he's come out as HIV positive. And slowly but surely, people are starting to feel comfortable and perhaps saw what happened to me, saw what happened to Billy Porter, and have seen what have happened to, and have gone, well, if they can do it, and look, their life is fine, maybe I can do it too. And the more that happens, the more doors that open, the less it becomes a problem, the less HIV is stigmatized, the more we talk about it, the more we, quote unquote, normalize it. So, you know, there are those stories. The really touching stories for me are the ones when people DM me on Instagram or on Facebook. And these are everyday people and from all over the world, and many, many people here in Vietnam too, who see what we do on Plus Life Media every week and what we put out, They see how I live my life and they go, wow, you know, thanks to you, I finally was able to tell my mother, or I was finally able to come out to my family about my HIV status. I'd been hiding it for 30 years. I mean, people, much older people who've been living with HIV since the very start, back in the 1980s, who had hidden away, finally, it's a bit like as a gay man coming out of the closet again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start to, I call it, I say, step out of the shadows and into the sunshine of life.
Thông điệp K bằng K, viết tắt của không phát hiện, nghĩa là không lây nhiễm, là một thông điệp quan trọng và cần được lan tỏa rộng rãi trong việc chống lại HIV/AIDS tại Việt Nam. Đây là một thông điệp đầy hy vọng và mang tính cách mạng, đồng thời thay đổi cách mọi người nhìn nhận và tiếp cận với người sống với HIV. Trong bối cảnh một lượng lớn sự kỳ thị và đánh đồng đối với những người sống với HIV, thông điệp K bằng K hướng đến việc tạo ra sự thay đổi tích cực và nhận thức rõ ràng về việc xử lý dứt điểm HIV. Thông điệp này khẳng định rằng khi một người sống với HIV được điều trị hiệu quả và khống chế được virus, họ không thể lây nhiễm HIV cho người khác. Thông điệp K bằng K không chỉ thúc đẩy sự chấp nhận và đồng cảm với những người sống với HIV, mà còn mở ra cơ hội để xây dựng một xã hội không kỳ thị, mà mọi người đều được đối xử công bằng và nhân văn. Thông qua việc lan tỏa thông điệp này, chúng ta hy vọng tạo ra một sự thay đổi sâu sắc trong nhận thức và hành vi của mọi người, từ những cá nhân cho đến cả xã hội và các chính phủ.
But it's very different here, right, Dr. Thuận Nguyễn, because the stigma and the discrimination towards someone that's associated with HIV here in Vietnam. Because you told us that you have been taking care of for a lot of influential people here who are positive with HIV. But when you ask them to whether you want to come forward with it, and no one, you know, would agree to do that.
I like what I hear from. Thank you for the question. Is very practical, and I think we need to look into, you know, like this topic. When I hear you, there's no one push you, you know, to come out, and like no one like really, you know, like say, oh, let look, you know, come out, and there's a horizon of you know, Nevada. There's no. For me, that's also the approach that I do, you know, like I don't push them. I say, when you're ready, you know, like let me know, and we work through this. Still, I haven't seen, you know, like you know, any sign yet, particular in the you know, show business, in the influential, you know, like populations. I don't blame them, you know, like they had a reason to, and I respect what they believe. But when I hear your story, but among many others, I think it could come from the within. Like me as a medical professional, and I always there, you know, like facilitate, you know, like the support from you know, like community, from friends, and then family. I have witnessed people who came out and were crazy, and they thought like, oh my God, how can I talk to my mom, my dad, and organically they call mom and say, there's a doctor who want to say you something. I say, look, your son is fine. He doesn't die from he's fine. So it's hard to find someone who died from HIV these days.
That's what I say.
It's hard.
But
it's hard because if you have early diagnosis, you access to very basic treatment, you are totally fine.
I mean, I take one tablet every morning with my multivitamin, and now because I'm getting old and a little fat, a cholesterol pill. I take it all at the same, boom, that's it. And now, I mean, the advances go on. They have injectable treatment that if you don't like taking pills, some people, they call it pill fatigue, you know. If taking a tablet every day reminds them they have HIV. Now, I don't know in Vietnam yet, but we have the injectables.
It will be coming soon.
Yeah. So there's so many more options. One and done, I forget about it. I only think about it when I'm sitting down with nice folks like you or doing my shows on Plus Life in America.
Okay. But Dr. Thuận, why do you think it still persists? I mean, the stigma, because for patients that you've been taking care of, they would understand or they would know very clearly that HIV doesn't make you die anymore. It is. You said that you don't call it even a disease,
no,
right?
No.
So, but why people still very reluctant
like I can say
forward?
Like the unknown, like fear, and the unknown fear is they don't know what they're getting into, and they haven't been supported, exposed to, like people who experience, the coming out process, and there has been so they haven't been supported enough, although we have the fantastic like legal framework and laws, and we have the best medication in the world, and all that, but like the social safety net, what we call, is not there. It's not embedded in every industry, and sector yet. That was something we have to do. We have to work to make sure that show business, like commercial sector, every sector have a social safety net embedded for them. That is crucial. I mean, like we can talk days and days about how, but in the end, they have to feel that they are human, they're not like a burden, of society, and they are not burden of anything, and medically.
And that's what that's going back to K equals K and U equals U. That very simple message that if you are healthy and undetectable, you cannot transmit the virus. So simple. That changes everything. It changes that unknown that you talk about. Here's the facts. This is the science. I can't transmit the virus. Guess what? I can have a loving relationship. I can have enjoyable sex without being scared of infecting somebody. And the snowball effect of this is that I, as someone living with HIV, win because I'm healthy and I live a long life just like anybody else. My partner wins because there's no risk to them. And then if you take it bigger and look at things like, if you've got a healthy society, that's less strain on hospitals, less financial burden. It becomes a giant win-win. Everybody wins if people get tested and go on treatment. We have the tools. We have the absolute tools, I think you'll agree, right now to stop HIV. To stop it. We can get rid of it.
Yeah. And you can have children too.
I can have children.
And they won't be affected.
Correct.
But let us address the elephant here in the room a little bit more. Based on your experiences, how the perception of HIV in the world, not in Vietnam, but in the world, evolves over the years. And is there still a lot of work needs to be done?
Yes. Yes. Look, in the early days of HIV and AIDS, there was a lot of propaganda that was put out into the world, rightly or wrongly, to scare people because we didn't know what it was. Think back to the early days of COVID, right? When everyone didn't know, could I touch the cup? Did I have to wear a mask? Could I leave my house? We were all scared. No one. This happened 40 years ago, and some wonderful advertisers and marketing people created some very powerful advertisements that went around the world and scared people to death. And then what happens is things progress. We get ARVs. We don't really talk about HIV anymore, right? We don't talk about it because, there's the medicine. There's great medicine. So we haven't shifted the public perception of what an HIV diagnosis is from then to now. And I think it's incumbent on government agencies all around the world, America, Australia, Vietnam, wherever, to really spend some money and tell the truth. Tell the truth about what HIV is. This is what HIV is. This is HIV positive. I'm a nearly 43-year-old man, as you said, if I wanted to have children, I can have children. I can have a loving, wonderful relationship with great sex if I want to have that. Everything I have, you can have and you can have.
Yeah.
But the world still sees it as a skinny, dying man, gay man, or someone who injects drugs all the time. And therefore we're deviant and we're dangerous and we're bad and we deserve it.
Yeah.
So governments need to get together with the clever marketing people that they got together with in 1987 and say, here's the money, let's tell the truth. Look, I don't drink Coca-Cola, but I know what Coca-Cola is. I don't eat Big Macs, but I know what McDonald's is. I know Nike slogan, but I don't wear Nikes. It's as simple as that. You know what these things are. You don't necessarily use them. HIV should be treated and marketed just the same way. Here's what it is. Now you know.
Let me echo Khao on this.
Right.
The other day, like the whole like craziness of AI, like AI, artificial intelligence. The other day, I test AI to see how much they changed. Because in Vietnam, before, we still call HIV/AIDS as a social disease. And those who have HIV, sorry to mention this, Khao, is a social evil.
Yeah.
In Vietnamese, like tệ nạn xã hội and bệnh xã hội. And another one is you call like HIV as a disease of the century.
Yeah.
The 21st century.
disease.
We are in the 21st century
Yes,
already.
still.
So those scary tactics, carry on. We get stuck with the past, and Google still
there.
haven't changed much. Still, big company, big marketing company, big government still haven't changed. That's really sad.
It is very sad.
But your based on your practical experience, how about us in Vietnam? Is there any hopeful kind of thinking?
Yeah, there is, but
are you optimistic?
I am optimistic, but I take action. I take action. I think we need to all take action in order to change. If we accept, I don't accept the fact that my Roresio company, the clinic, have working with people in HIV, calling my client is those who have social diseases, and I have to fight. I have to fight back. Although I'm optimistic because Vietnam, we already work on policy and terminology, eliminating, the social evil approach, but still the practice, we call, that's the disease of the century. We call a patient, he has a căn bệnh thế kỷ,
Yes.
No, it's not căn bệnh thế kỷ. No. It's living with HIV.
But I will say, as a visitor to this wonderful country, Vietnam is one of the few countries in the world that is leading the charge when it comes to getting on top of this. I think you've exceeded. There's something called the 90-90-90 target to eliminate HIV by 2030. That is 90% tested, 90% treatment, and what's the
suppression?
Suppression.
You're
already above
95.
that. You're 95.
We aim to have 95, and we have.
Which is, and which is phenomenal. And I think we in the United States, especially when it comes to encouraging testing and treatment, could learn a lot from people here in Vietnam.
Right. But actually, I myself, just yesterday, I asked some of, my acquaintances about K equals K, which in Vietnamese means không phát hiện, nghĩa là không lây nhiễm. But no one knows. They didn't know about it.
We have this problem in America too.
Yeah.
And that is the most frustrating thing to me. Because again, as I said earlier to you, it is the most simple, cheap, effective message. If you are undetectable, you cannot transmit the virus. Therefore, we should be encouraging people to get tested. If you test positive, like me, get on treatment, take one pill a day for most cases. That's it. End of story.
Right.
And guess what? If people got tested and every single HIV positive person got on treatment, what would happen?
Nothing.
They don't know HIV.
It goes away.
Okay.
It goes away. It stops. It
Oh.
stops. That's it. Because I can't transmit the virus. It stops. So how about we again spend some money, government agencies, and put the advertising out there to say, get tested. It's not as scary as you think. I mean, it's still, I have friends in America who are still afraid to get tested, even though they know me and they see my life.
Is that a problem here in Vietnam?
Yeah, there is like when you see people who at certain age, like you never know, like
Why
people
are they still so afraid of it?
they're afraid of
Because it's curable.
stigmatized by their family, by friends who like unfriend them because of HIV. And again, like they don't know what they're afraid of, so they keep dragging things on and then become late. I think I keep fighting and I keep advocating because even the health system, medical professionals don't know that.
Yeah.
Why?
Can you,
Because the K=K campaign was launched in Vietnam in 2019, so it's been 4 years already.
Yeah, but it hasn't been well integrated in the
system.
education. Like you need to make sure that young student who get into medical school need to be trained in this, and doctor already been working for years and they don't know that. They thought like,
surprised.
oh, I have to have like layers of like equipments and go over everything, and the gloves and everything to contact like people who live with HIV.
But you can do that with cow now.
Look, touch me, feel me. Oh, give me a kiss on the cheek. Yeah. Welcome back. You're safe. So you have people who are studying to be doctors, not being given the relevant information. I've heard of stories in America where doctors have said, "Oh, I've heard of U=U or K=K, but it's not my opinion." We still have, especially in the United States, a lot of prejudice when it comes to LGBTQIA plus people. There are many people in the medical profession who have their religious beliefs, and unfortunately, they take that and put it into their judgment when it comes to patients. And I'm no doctor, but I don't think that's what you're supposed to do. So it's a real tricky one. Look, I always say this, and that's why we created Plus Life and what I do, and when I have opportunities, it's all about talking. Just talk about it. What we're doing today, which is why I'm so grateful that you have us on for viewers. You don't have to agree with everything I say. We might disagree. And maybe when you go away and think about it for a minute, you go, well, I had never thought of it like that. And that's how we move step by step by step. And that's how we can start to change things.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything that we can disagree on about the K=K campaign. But Dr. Thuận, one of your colleagues committed suicide as well.
Yeah, like
Very sad.
Very sad. Like So a colleague and a few friends, ended their life. And that's one of the reasons why I came back overseas and opened my practice. And I used to manage program, training other doctor and going around. But I realized that actually my friends who died because of misunderstanding. So and then the more I open, the more I see, the misunderstanding and lack of knowledge. Particularly it comes to the simple message and approach to HIV is a K=K again, and having one pill a day is it, and you don't have any big problem to worry about. Get on with life.
Yeah.
And that's something that I opened my practice for, and I'm very lucky that I got support from local government and friends and my clinic doesn't request people to tell their names, and then since then a few younger people who came out publicly talk about they are living with HIV. I like to see more, and I think they're time for me to connect them together, having some kind of
Conversation.
platform to
Yeah,
share and then like start tagging, this.
I bring it back to, let's just talk the finance side of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Just the money side alone, as I said earlier in this interview. If people living with HIV are healthy and undetectable, we're not getting sick, we're not causing sickness. That in of itself puts less of a financial burden and strain on healthcare systems, on programs. So that allows other important funding, whether it's go back into HIV research or into other causes. So I think this is an area especially where, let's say you don't think HIV really matters to you because you perceive it as perhaps just something for gay people or for IV drug users. But this element of saying, look, hang on, if everybody gets tested and gets on treatment, we're going to save a lot of money. And that's something that I think everyone in the community and at government level will agree, oh, that's a good idea, because we're all about saving money or being able to redirect funds into other areas. And that comes back to this message of K equals K is a win-win. Win for me, win for you, but then win for general society.
For
you've got
everyone.
less people out sick. Imagine you've got a workforce who aren't falling over sick because they're on their treatment. They've gone and gotten tested. They found out they're HIV positive. They got on treatment. They're not, because so many people don't even know they have it because they're too afraid to step into the clinic to get tested. So just bring it back to the nuts and bolts of money. We could save a lot of money and help a lot of other people with other things with this very simple understanding that if I get tested and I'm positive, go on treatment, I'll be okay.
Yeah. If they keep being scared and they lead to late diagnosis, and there will be problem, and that not the people with HIV problem.
Many people in Vietnam, celebrities, influential people, they died of some illness. And then rumors said it that they died because of HIV, but they didn't want to, let the public know the real reason. Is that true, or is it a myth as well?
But that happened in the United States too.
Yeah.
You look at famous entertainers like, Liberace. There were so many people in America in the 80s and early 90s. And that is, again, because of the shame and the propaganda that was spread to say that somehow what this person did was evil and wrong because they chose to have sex with someone without a condom. Most likely a man having sex with another man. We already strike that down as disgusting and evil and despicable because, it's God and damnation gays. So there were a lot of people who hid. And imagine that. Imagine you're sick and all you want is care and love and affection, but you're too scared to tell anyone the truth. That can't be healthy. I will tell you, when I was diagnosed with HIV, I was 27 years old. And the very first thing, when the doctor said to me in the clinic, you're HIV positive, the very first thing I thought was, how could I do this to my parents? If you get diagnosed with cancer, people wrap their arms around you. If someone tells you they're diabetic, you go, my gosh, tell me, how do you cope with that? Or you have some other, but the minute somebody says they're HIV positive, and then they go, how'd you get it? Already you've done something wrong. When in fact, for the majority of us who contract HIV, we had sex, which is as natural as breathing or going to the bathroom. Everyone does it, even the dogs, even the plants. And we're all sitting here because two people had sex, right? It gets me in trouble even in America. Everyone likes it, either by ourselves or with other people or whatever your choice. But we can't even talk about that. Where there's such a shamefulness attached to something that is as natural as breathing air.
All right.
And here, one step further, is that if kids realize that they have HIV or even they gay, and then the parents will say, "Oh, what did I do in the past?"
Yeah.
The karma, like shadow,
Right.
like me, and then like making
It's
you
a shame.
this is it's shame, it's shame. Why we waiting for like your massive change? I believe in internalizing like strength.
I say very often, there is you can be afraid of me for many reasons.
Yeah.
HIV shouldn't be one of them. I can be scary or whatever, but don't be afraid of me because of my HIV. And I will say to your viewers, that if you are given the opportunity when you feel ready and right to talk about your HIV status, talk about it. It changes you, and it's easy to hear somebody else say it and go, fine for him, he lives in America, he's probably this, and it's a different culture. No.
It's hard.
It's really hard. But the difference it's made in my life talking about it publicly and sharing it, I'm a different person and a much better person because of it.
Yeah, but we are going back to the systematic question here, because obviously we know that K equals K campaign is not only important from the health perspective, but it also brings about the benefits for the economically and financially for
Win-win.
for the community. But what you see now is that why the countries' governments still haven't done enough to boost up this campaign?
Well, I think because I can't speak for Vietnam, but I can speak certainly for where I live in the United States or Australia. A lot of those people in power are there because big corporations and big money people have a lot to do with getting them into power. So, when you have elected officials in the United States, for example, who have to spend millions and millions of dollars to get their campaigning out there, they're backed by organizations. So if you're backing someone, you tend to, I think, believe, well, I've got to stick with, what their thought process is. Even if the politician themselves might not think that, they've got these huge investors in them. So I think that's a very large problem. I think that's a big part of it. That, once these people get into power, they're in the back pocket of other people.
Favorite policy, I would like watch them whether they turn their talk into the walk.
Yeah,
like walk the talk. There's a policy there, there's a law there, and then you embrace the policy. You have to really take action. Put the money into it. Put your time into it. Make sure that like staff were trained. School were educated about the K&K.
The more people that we see and we hear from that look and sound like us, the easier it gets to talk about it. So if me being on this program might help one of your, just one person in your audience, whether it be a famous person or just a regular person who sees me and goes, wow, okay, maybe I can. Then we've moved the needle a bit, and we do it again, and we do it again. And that's why I think you do what you do, and I certainly do what I do.
Yeah, I admire both of you.
Thank you.
Actually, and I wish that we could have more time to talk more about this, but we have to wrap up our program here today. But I want you, Carl, to just repeat your message again to our viewers, and especially particularly for those who are now struggling with their own secrets and societal judgments.
Yeah, well, I would just say, I call it stepping out of the shadows and into the sunshine of life. If I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. We live in a world now where we have the power and the tools to end HIV for everybody. How do we do it? Get tested. And if we test positive, go on treatment. Maybe it's just one pill a day like I take. And that's it. One pill. I can love, I can marry, I can make babies, I can have fun trying to make babies, I can live a full and healthy life. I go to the doctor twice a year. I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm successful, and you can be too.
And thank you, and Dr. THޮNG. You can say something to the audience in Vietnamese.
Well, lúc nào mình cũng gần gũi, hỗ trợ và gắn kết với những người khách hàng bệnh nhân của mình giống như mình gắn kết giống như anh Khao đây. Cho nên là mình á, hàng ngày mình sống với bệnh nhân, với khách hàng, với tất cả mọi người xung quanh mình, sống với HIV giống như mình sống với anh Khao bây giờ vậy đó. Giống như Trinh hỏi mình cái câu hỏi này, mình không có thông điệp gì bằng cách là thế này nè là xong. Bởi vì anh ấy mới là người tạo sự thay đổi, đúng không ạ?
So much love there.
There's
Very
love
meaningful.
there.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much for sharing your very meaningful journeys to
Thank you
us.
again for having us on. And this is really important.
Yep.
And the fact that you have taken this time to share our stories with your audience says a lot about you and about this network and the wonderful work you do. So thank you very much.
No worries. And I wish you the best health.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, together with Carl Smith and Dr. THޮNG, we have delved into the impact of the K=K campaign in Vietnam, exploring the challenges faced, the successes achieved, and the road ahead in making an impact on the lives of individuals affected by HIV in Vietnam. So let's break down barriers, challenge misconceptions, and work towards a society that embraces everyone with compassion and understanding. Thank you for watching, and goodbye now.